everyone, welcome to Big Talk, live from the nation's capital. My name is Edikan Michael, your host. Tonight, we'll turn our attention and delve into the concern about entrepreneurship in Nigeria. It all looks that much attention has been given to what governments are doing. Of course, our consideration about how we can grow our internal IGDP and all of that is still looking at the concern about what the entrepreneurs can do, the role of entrepreneurs in Nigeria in building the Nigerian institutions and addressing the many unemployment we are having in the country, which has continued to be a topmost concern, because entrepreneurs are the bedrock of Nigerian economy. When we look at data coming from the National Bureau of Statistics showing that micro, small and medium enterprises are accounting for over 49.8% of Nigeria gross domestic product and constituting the very large significant share of the total number of business in Nigeria. SMEs have been the drivers of social change in Nigeria. In the last couple of years, have been witnessed several innovative solutions such as education and healthcare. Despite all of these contributions of entrepreneurs, the business's environment have been in terms of some support, some not fully being supportive of their potential. They continue to grapple with numerous challenges which limit their productivity, expansion potential, and employment capacity. These access to capital, high interest, rate, infrastructural deficit, inadequate power supply, policy, and regulatory inconsistency top the list of challenges facing small businesses in Nigeria. And you can look at also the issues of insecurity, major barrier to the growth of small businesses in Nigeria, and all of that concerned environmental characterized by unpredictable policy changes. Tonight on the program, we will be looking at state of entrepreneurship under President Bola Tinubu, Nigeria as a whole, what we can do to tap and also queue behind many nations of the world to encourage entrepreneurship, local businesses, small and medium businesses in Nigeria, so as to drive our economy. We can't continue to rely on a particular sector that those that have said we are running out of oil, so over-dependence on the oil is not the best way to go. What then? The questions many have continued to ask: how do we manage all of these interests, the challenges entrepreneurs are facing in Nigeria? Tonight on the program, we'll be diving into all of that concern. My guest is the Director General of the Progressive Institute, think tank unit of the All Progressive Congress of Nigeria, which will, of course, will be sharing some insight about state of entrepreneurship in Nigeria, addressing them, and what should be the way forward and the concern of everyone. Dr. Larry Adebajo is the Director General. Thanks so much, Doctor, for joining us on the program tonight.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Dr. Adebayo.
Adebayo.
Yes.
Thank you. Since the inauguration of the Progressive Institute, where a lot of persons were anticipating lofty ideas, how you can mediate between your party, and also seeing what you can do in addressing the challenges of Nigeria, because the party have promised Nigeria change, or the party have also been renewed. It means that there are still attention to all of these challenges. But let's first talk about the Progressive Institute. How come this lofty idea? Because that those that argue, many of the political parties in this country is not driven by ideology. How come? What better this institute?
See, political parties, by our constitution, is a mother of the government. By the fundamental role of the nation, the political parties are the ones that develop policies, manifestos that government that emerged campaign with. So, by the Constitution, each political party is expected to have a strong policy unit, a strong research-driven unit, and of course an ideology. Now, what the APC has done in the last couple of months under the leadership of Dr. Ganduje is to identify this important part of the responsibility of a political party and creatively evolved the establishment of the Progressive Institute. The Progressive Institute is the think tank of the party. It's also its intellectual resource center. Its major role is to, one, encourage development of sound policies, empirical policies that are rooted in the needs of the people and are designed to solve basic problems. But public policies are problem-solving activities. So the job of the institute, therefore, is to contribute towards the party's policy role, enhancing that role. And you will agree with me that policies are research-oriented, and political parties are busy campaigning. They're busy canvassing the votes. They're busy politicking. And therefore, it becomes necessary to establish a sober, research-driven, intellectual center whose job is to look at policies, study people's problems and challenges, and recommend to government, to the party, which of course also recommend to government. The other part of his job is to train the party leadership, party cadres on leadership, on governance, and other contemporary issues that bear relevance to contemporary governance and challenges. And of course, all these are meant to improve the party's capacities for leadership recruitment. These are the three major roles. And of course, it does other activities, especially research. Now, so in effect, what APC has done under Dr. Ganduje's leadership is to rediscover itself and to reposition itself to play the fundamental role a political party should play. And by the way, this is the only party that I know that has an agency like ours that is registered, recognized, and therefore exists as an independent and legal entity in the country.
So, I mean, when you look at all of that, you've highlighted that those will start putting some hands together, because it looks that part of the problems we are having in this country would have been addressed. Looking at the policies APC has met so far, would you assess it to be people-centric? Because it has come under a lot of criticism. People say some of these policies are not popular, it's not popular-driven, and all of that. Your role is also to advise government on the policies they have taken, subsidy removals, many reformations of the economy is still a major concern. Are you happy about the state of things?
So one of the things we have to appreciate is the fact that governance is a very difficult task. And if you want to pursue votes, this election, you wouldn't take any painful policy decisions. What this government has done is to identify many of our challenges. For example, the issue of subsidy removal, the issue of tax, and other issues that had brought down the country. What we've been doing before has been to make money and consume. And you remember, in the early days of this republic, when the government was attempting to save money, some of our leaders said, no, share the money. Subsidy, continue with it. Make money and share it. What this government is saying, say, look, we cannot thrive as a nation with all our potentials, with all the resources, with all the young guys and boys and girls, with the potentials. There's no way you can make a difference if you do not sit down to think back. How do we move forward? What the government has done is to look, we have taken the responsibility to lead this country. Yeah, we're not looking at the next election. We're looking at how to solve our problems. And I think President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done what many leaders in the past avoided. Many of our previous leaders, when they understood the issues, but they were not prepared to take the bold decisions to correct them. Today, Naira is getting stronger. Fuel price is getting stabilized. Yes, things are a bit painful. But I will say this. The job of the federal government is to provide this broad macroeconomic environment. The states governors, the state governments, have what I would call a compelling partnering responsibility to ease some of these activities. For example, because I always say states are the theaters of development. They are the theaters of addressing poverty. They are the ones who can encourage agriculture directly. So governance and legal development in this country, therefore, requires a strong partnership between the federal government and the states. The federal government is playing its role. President Tinubu is playing the role a leader should play. It's not looking at the next election. It's looking at how to solve problems. What we need is for this understanding from the state, whether APC or PDP, to identify the areas. I can say some of the states that are doing very well. In the area of production of agriculture, adding value chain. So what we need therefore, and I think the media really must play a role in this, we need to encourage the sub-national entities to play their role. Nigeria is a very federal republic. Governance, development, and poverty reduction do not depend only on federal government. It requires what I would call creative partnership between federal and state. And Nigerians, we are very interesting people. On one hand, we say we are a federal republic, right? On the other hand, if a wife and husband fights in Abia, they want to call the president to solve the problem. So in a way, on one hand, we want autonomy for state, and we need to have autonomy for state, like we need to have autonomy for local government. On the other hand, you say, federal government must solve our problems. So in a way, the media really need to play a major role, particularly in encouraging our sub-national leaders to play the complementary role they need to play.
I mean, when you look at all of that concern, those are still looking at the president hiring people to do the job, because part of the job of a leader is to have a vision and then gather people to interpret some of this vision. Some of the appointment that those were expecting that more, technocrats would have been topping the list of that appointment in driving some of this development. Yes, he has appointed people across boards, which I understand that you also said that is the capacity of the leader to identify people that can help him deliver on the tasks. Are you assessing the capacity of these appointments the president have made so far? Are you impressed? Because many Nigerians feel that people, were appointed into offices and they do not really have a track record to show to help the president doing the job. The economic team of the president, how are they tackling the inflation? Is still a major concern. What are the ministers doing at their respective ministry? Yes, the president is always called upon, but we know that he had people doing the job. Are you impressed about getting the appointment, people across board, respect of the political parties to do, and also knowing the fact that people in APC are saying, Mr. President, you have now finished appointing people from your party, going to other persons, going to other party to hire people to do the job, is still a major concern. Briefly speak on that.
The president was elected to govern. He takes responsibilities for all actions of his government. It is within his prerogative to choose those he would use to work with. Having said that, you also must appreciate the fact that this is a democracy, this is politics. And you must balance so many factors before you appoint people. So in a way, I would commend the president for the team he has built. And don't forget one thing, that this government came on board at a time the economy of the country was at its lowest level.
But from still the same party.
Well, it doesn't matter, different government. It's the same party, but different government. If you look at the approach of this government, it's different from the approach of the previous government. It doesn't matter whether, of course, the manifesto of the party in this last election was quite different from the manifesto of the previous government. So it doesn't matter, within a party, the dynamics of leadership can change. It has changed in this particular case. And so the president is confronting difficult national challenges with a view to addressing them and solving them now, so that it depends at the beginning. And we know that gradually things are evolving. But it is just that, one, the media also need to play a complementary role. I know that, as a journalist myself, the mass media need to play what I would call a constructive role. We have a nation in a hurry to develop. And development, like giving birth to a child, is painful sometimes. And we're evolving to that direction. But what the government needs is to have constructive engagement.
The government exists for the people.
Yes, it is for the people.
The policies are painful. There are ways where government can make, reduce the pains, cushioning the effect of all of that. We've seen issues of palliative and all of those are done by the government to cushion the effect. But where the people are really having a concern is that this is on getting to the grassroots. And then there's a problem about that leadership, that it's not just about giving a policy, it's not just about introducing an idea, but how do you track down to the grassroots so that a common Nigerian can feel the impact of this?
Precisely the point. The president, this government, has, one, effectively worked towards getting local government to have autonomy, so they can effectively reach the people. Two, it has given more to the states, so they can impact on the people. So that was the point I was making earlier. We need to appreciate the fact that governance in a federal structure like Nigeria. It's a partnership between the federal and states. See, in my class, I'm a teacher. I always tell my students, a federal government of this type is an amorphous entity. It is everywhere, it is nowhere. The center of development, the center of activity is the state and local government. So the government recognizes that. That is why it is giving more to the states. It's also giving more to local governments. What therefore is required to be done is for all of us as Nigerians appreciating the difficult task of reaching our compatriot at the low level to encourage other subnational organizations or governments to ensure that they play their role. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not the only leader we have in the country. He's only the first person. He's giving direction and leadership. He's making sacrifices, taking painful decisions. Let our leaders at the subnational level also do the same thing. And this is why we need to encourage the strengthening of local government structure in this country. It is important. Otherwise, you have an over-centralized federal structure. And what the president is saying, no, I don't want to have an over-centralized federal structure. I'm prepared to give to the local government, to the state, and he's doing that. So what needs to be done is for mass media, non-state organizations, to be vigilant and encourage through advocacy sub-national organizations and the governments to play their role.
Let's get to the crux of the matter. I mean, we can speak on all of those policies, but at the end of the day, we're still tracking to see how far these can affect the lives of the people. Very fantastic job by the Progressive Institute, by the way. Issues of entrepreneurship, looking at the fact that we can't talk of our economy without the role of entrepreneurs. The private sector contribute largely to this development of the economy. What would be your assessment of challenges in the country? Yes, I highlighted all of that, but we will see that governments sometimes are pushing some infrastructure development at the level they can, but it's really getting down to affecting businesses in the country. For instance, over 67% of our entrepreneurs are really having a concern about, businesses are closing and all of that. But just what has been your assessment before these plan to launch a vocational conference in skill acquisitions and entrepreneurship? What has been the research challenges so far from your own end?
See, if you look at the trajectory of our current challenges, one of the things you will note is the fact that, and it's been proven by many organizations, that we have a severe skill gap in the country. Severe skill gap, so that entrepreneurs do not have adequate capacity to function. Apart from other infrastructural issues, the most important and potent issue is the lack of skill. We have people they call unemployable graduates. We also have even the ones who are trained locally who are prepared not to do the job. Sometimes in this country we import artisans to work in our houses. Now, of course, we also have this problem of Japa syndrome. Nigerians are going abroad without being prepared. Countries like Taiwan, Singapore, Malaysia are exporting skills. In fact, the economy is based on skills of the citizens. Now, we need to appreciate the fact that, yes, we need to have degrees, it's good, but we need to begin to appreciate the fact that most economies are based on skills. Recently, the US announced that they're going to be de-emphasizing degrees. The same thing in UK. Indeed, many of these countries are looking for skilled workers. But for me, and I think that's one of the genesis of this conference that the National Chairman of our party initiated, is the fact that, yes, we need to take a stock of how many do we have in terms of skills. What are the sectoral needs in terms of skill that the country requires? And if Nigerians must go out, yes, good, but they must be prepared. We need to export skilled workers. So it must be a deliberate government policy to say, look, yes, we want to upskill our workers, we want to upskill our people, and at the same time, if you want to go abroad, fine, but be skilled so you can be paid adequately when you get to those countries. I mean, you can imagine plumbers, how much they earn in a month on daily basis. Plumbers, electricians, others And there are other high-skilled workers, like underwater welding. These are high demand. So Nigeria needs to take stock to define itself in terms of addressing skill gap locally and also export. So these require what I call a balancing act. So the essence of the conference, therefore, is for us to take stock, to assemble experts from all dimensions, to take stock of the gaps that we have and the various skills that we require to train in and to encourage more. And of course, also, if we're exporting skills, see that people working going to where about go and wash toilets, not big bodies. They could as well constructively get involved in doing skill work and getting more money. And that could be also a sort of foreign exchange for the country. And I think we need to address this area because we need to be proud to be Nigerians. We are proud of being Nigerian, but the kind of work people do in some of those countries, what I call dehumanize us as a people. So the conference is therefore one to address these issues, identify the various skills, and bring experts together to address some of these things. And of course, ultimately, is to again look at entrepreneurship in the context of having gone through school, must you seek for a job? You understand? And must you seek for employment? If you are properly skilled and you are trained in entrepreneurship and leadership, you can set up your own. Most of these companies I mentioned depend on this kind of approach to survive, to thrive. So in a way, the conference is about rediscovering ourselves. It's about addressing a key challenge of the country, nationwide, and begin to prescribe what I call innovative practical solutions to the problem. And respecting scholars and experts across, both locally and abroad. And we're also expecting Nigerians who are doing well in the area of innovation technology in other parts of the world. And I can tell you that we have some of the best experts in that area, Nigerians working in Europe, working in the Americas, who are being brought to come and share ideas with us. So the conference, therefore, is policy driven. It is aimed at addressing critically, clinically, our challenges and come up with what we call practical solution to the problem.
How do you intend to, address the issue of improving access to financing? Because we've had several conferences and all of those vocational skills training. At the end of the day, some of these young entrepreneurs are left on without having access to financing or whatever just to be able to make a startup. There's that gap between that because those are sometimes have actually had training and all of that. How would these be different from all of that?
We tend to look for finance from the wrong quarters. A small, medium scale entrepreneur doesn't need to require to go to banks. Part of the thing we'll be discussing at the conference is the use of cooperative society. Cooperative society enables a group of people to collaborate, expand opportunity for themselves, and grow their capital. When I was in the National Research Agency, it is one area where we actually invested heavily in. That cooperative movement has been proven to be a veritable source of expanding capital at little or no cost to the person borrowing. And if you go to the ministries and civil service, most civil servants they are investing in cooperative, the members of cooperative societies, and many of them invest in buying cars, building houses, paying school fees through cooperative activities. So the effort of this, therefore, is to see how, when you are skilled, how you can gain access to opportunities through cooperative movement. And I think the federal government also has some initiatives that can be accessed through such. It's a lot easier for a thriving. Let me give you an example. There is this association that has about 12 million members across the country. They are artisans, So they came to me in the office asking about how to get access to finance. I looked at them, I was surprised. Looking for access to finance, you have money, you are money yourself, you are capital yourself. 12 million people. Even if it's 1 million people, just assume each of them contributes 5 naira every day as contribution. Just estimate how much that will be in a month. The capital is there. It is just that we have not looked inside ourselves to see what we can do. Nigeria is rich, our people are rich, we have the numbers, through the numbers we can do many things. We do not need the banks for small enterprises to thrive. What we need is to cooperate. And Nigeria has a viable cooperative society. I think we have a federal band of cooperatives, which is also expanding. So part of the conference is we want to also encourage the federal government through the conference to invest more in cooperative activities so that small and medium-scale enterprises do not need to go to banks with all the conditionalities. You can take 2, 3, 4, 10 million in cooperative societies with little or no collateral, if I would have only collateral, beyond what you do. And you are going to pay back with little interest. That is the future, I believe. That is the way forward if you want to encourage small and medium-scale enterprises.
If you try to make some funding from CAC, the Corporate Affairs Commission, you look at the number of businesses that have been registered in Nigeria for the past, let's say, 5 to 6 years. And that also gives rise to concern about sustaining business in Nigeria, because there are a few, situations in the country like the power issues and all of that doesn't make business to expand. Some businesses are finding it very difficult after the first or second year, and which sometimes push already existing entrepreneur back to the unemployed population that we have. Is still a concern, because those that are admitted are, of course, are embrace entrepreneurship. Many schools are already doing some entrepreneurship programs in our curriculum and all of that, but sustaining these businesses after sometimes is very difficult. That those are blames issues of power, that those are blames some policies of government, taxation, which I'm going to come to you to discuss that. How do we navigate these paths?
You see, infrastructural challenges are there. Let me give you an example. 1979, Nigeria had built about 6 overburden authorities. Each of them was meant to generate energy and supply water for irrigation purpose. For whatever reasons, the then MPN government stopped the entire process. There was no investment in that sector from 79 to 1999. And 1999, the then Minister of Power also enthusiastic said, if I don't bring power to you in 6 months, I will resign. By the time we got there, we discovered there was a lot of decay in the system. Now it has to start initiatives. Unfortunately, the Nigerian thing happened. When the president left, then the one that succeeded now introduced a probe. And that probe led to about 2-year gap. Don't forget that power plants are not purchased on the shelf. They are tailor-made. So you have to start all over again. Now, I think inconsistency in policy within that kind of situation was a major hindrance. But I think that if you look at what the electrification agency is doing now, there's a deliberate effort. And of course, the last act on power sector that has digitalized that generation and transmission. All these are bold initiatives to ensure that we address this issue of power energy. And I think this afternoon I had a meeting with some officials of the REA, and they have come up with some bold initiatives aimed at ensuring that power is available everywhere in the country. So in a way, government itself recognizes that aspect, and a lot of initiatives are being introduced to address them, especially in the area of expanding the solar energy. And I believe also that if the states, or some of the state governments are taking advantage of new law that will allow them to invest in that sector, that's the only way we can solve the problem both in the short and long term. Having said that, I also believe one factor, that financial literacy is a major missing link in entrepreneurship. And if you look at the program we are doing next week on Tuesday, Wednesday, financial literacy is a major part of that discussion. See, yes, you can be an entrepreneur and be literate in terms of documentation of accounts, management of funds, and discipline. Because you see, part of the thing about entrepreneurship is discipline. Discipline that you see money that you cannot spend because you're putting the money forward for your next activity. And so, in a way, it is something that has to evolve. And that is where entrepreneurship can thrive in the context of skill, vocational skills. When somebody has vocational skills, I was student in England. You find plumbers coming to your house to fix your plumbing materials or plumbing work, and they are paid well. They are paid well outside the tax regime in those countries. Where they pay the corporate tax. So we need to begin to harness what we have. We as a country are blessed. We are extremely blessed. What we need to do, and we are trying to do now, the government is trying to do now, is to begin to upskill those we have, both for local economy and also for exports. So in the end, if we want to encourage Nigerians to go abroad, they can go abroad as skilled workers and they will be well paid, well remunerated. So somehow, therefore, you look at the issue of power. Power is a major factor in entrepreneurship and industrialization and other activities. And with power, you can solve many problems. And the government is solving that problem. But I also think that given the new law or the past sector reform, it means that states can also invest. Individuals can also invest unlike before. So we therefore need what I would call a cooperative, a partnership system where everybody is investing and therefore can solve the problem. See, this country is extremely rich. It is a place with so much potentials and opportunities. Let me ask you a question. If you go to Nnamdi Azikiwe airport, for every plane landing in Nigeria, you probably will find that 90% or more are foreigners. Why are they coming to Nigeria? They're coming here because they have opportunities, almost infinite opportunities that we refuse to see and others are seeing. So you find many foreigners coming here to thrive, but Nigerians, for whatever reason, look outside. And I can tell you what the people give reasons. They say, it's difficult. You don't need to know everybody to do things in this country. What you need to do is to learn. And this conference, therefore, is to enable us to begin to rediscover ourselves, to begin to invest in ourselves through vocational skills. And one of the things they are exploring at that conference is to see how these can be mainstreamed in the school system. So you don't have to leave the school to look for a job. From primary one, you'll be encouraged to learn the skill. And all through your school system, by the time you leave secondary school, you are already a skilled worker. You can decide whether to remain as a skilled person and make money and make living, or you could choose to go to university or polytechnic or continue with other climbs. But the fact is that by the time you leave a secondary school system, you will not be a jobless person, unlike what we have now. So the government is initiating a redirection of our energies, a redirection of our effort in the direction of ensuring that Nigerians can fend for themselves, ensure that unemployment can be addressed through self-help, through skills. You do not need to look for jobs. I always give you an example. When I came in as a young lecturer in the university system, I was busy outside with consultancy. And if you look at the university system, there is no department, I will say with all conviction, there is no department that is useless. Every department can be made to commercialize its activities. A good example, look at the religious studies department. And people say, this is likely to be profitable. But you have so many churches, so many Islamic groups, so many imams looking for training. In some cases, you find some of these small churches establishing mushroom seminaries in their backyard, and they are awarding certificates. What stops a Department of Religious Studies from identifying this, undertaking a research on the needs of these religious organizations and provide services? I think one of the things I see is we are not sometimes very creative, we're not aggressive, we're not hungry enough to want to make changes. I believe that every young man, I'll see myself as an example, every young man who is hungry can always look for opportunities. And this country is full with opportunities. And I'm saying that without looking down on anybody else. But I believe that every young man can turn things around. And all the young men have energy. We have passion. We have creativity. And many things can be done. Look at our young guys and boys who are doing Yahoo. In one or two states, they are being harnessed. Instead of criminalizing them, why don't we look for ways to harness the energies and use them to service companies abroad? This country is rich. Look, I am so passionate about this country. This country is so rich, is so blessed that we just are spoiled. So somehow that is what I think, because we're not.
Maybe went down to the words of the president, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, that Nigerians were living fake life under subsidy regime.
Yeah. Look, see, because we have everything, we assume we must get everything done. We are so entitled. Right? And I can tell you one thing. Nobody makes an omelette without breaking an egg. Have you seen one person? You want to eat an omelette without breaking an egg. It's not possible. So there are things we must learn to do. And this country, I believe, can be transformed. And this can be done by this leadership that knows what to do. I always tell people that President Bola Tinubu is a man who grew up in a way, has learned through the ropes. He's a self-made man. He has learned many things. So it's an example, it's an exemplary character that we can follow. And I can tell you one thing, this country has enough for everyone. What we just need to do is to identify opportunities when they come. You know, sometimes when you go out, you see young men and women, some will see opportunities, even when others cannot see. You see some people making wealth out of something that others cannot see. So what this conference is all about is to help our children, our young ones, to rediscover themselves and to start a process of adapting or mainstreaming vocational skill education to school curriculum. In our days in secondary school, we had the vocational training, but over the years somehow it went out. Now we need to bring this back to the school system so that we can create a country full of skilled men and women, and we can have enough to even export. We shouldn't be exporting. Japa thing should not be Japa on the basis of nothing.
We should Japa with skill.
Japa with skill, yes.
Oh, Mr. Damani, I agree. A lot of concern about the trust deficit in Nigeria, because in all of those things you've mentioned, the fantastic approaches to believing in what this government have done, in those quarters of Nigeria, I feel many leaders past, many government, have made a lot of promises. At the end of the day, the hopes of Nigerians, were completely dashed out. And so there's a high level of trust deficit on this government, that those I feel all of the policies and reformations of this government, even after 18 months, they are not really showing indicators of that things will get better. They are afraid that, this government can come and go without all of those results yielding. Are you worried?
I'm not worried, because I'm worried
about the state of deficit of trust.
Let me tell you, see, government everywhere in the world and citizens always traditionally have this trust issue. If you go to US, you find the same thing. Go to UK, it's the same thing. But what has happened there is that the president is not pretending. When he was campaigning, he said, I will remove subsidy. He campaigned on that. And on the day he was sworn in, he fulfilled that promise. Yes, he was initially painful, gradually we are getting used to it.
So management of it is a problem, not the removal of it. Many Nigerians have subscribed and supported removal of that subsidy. The management of it is a problem.
You know the funny thing? That aspect, see, when we talk about governance is a partnership between the people and non-state organizations. Now, without the two working together, government on one side and non-state organization, or non-state sector on the other, that's no governance. That's not a partnership. What needs to be done is the non-state sector should play a major role in identifying areas of weaknesses, identifying weak points in the governance structure, in government policy structure, and advice. Look, in any given situation, government is not God. President Bola Tinubu is not God. He can only act on the basis of material available to him. Whenever they had issues or people make complaints, government has been responding, either removing or changing appointment. When there are issues, people bring them to the attention of government. What it means, therefore, that government is responsive enough, and therefore, there's also the need for the non-state sector to engage by complementing government in the area of exposing challenges when they occur. So in a way, it also requires that. And one of the things that we will be doing at the Progressive Institute is also to harness, is also to engage, to work with non-state organizations to fill that aspect. But we're set up to play a critical constructive role, and for government to see itself in the mirror. And we'll be working with non-state organizations to achieve that. So in a way, when the APC was establishing this institute, it was conscious of the need to harness the various actors within the governance system. So at the end of the day, our people, non-state organizations, will have the opportunity and privilege of making contributions to governance. And once there's that partnership, once things are done in the open, once there's transparency and accountability, then you can expect that trust will be built. And of course, let me also say this. We have been utilizing what I call the freedom that democracy affords. Democracy is about right, but democracy is also vulnerable. The right that democracy encourages can also be used to undermine it. So you see the irony. Democracy guarantees freedom, right? But that freedom can be used recklessly sometimes to undermine it. So we have to be careful the way we exercise our rights. See, I always see democracy in the third world as a very delicate baby. And we know what happened during the Livy period. We enjoy freedom, but these days people take pleasure in castigating every institution of governance, the judiciary, everybody. So people take the pleasure of wanting to undermine the system because they cannot have their way. Yes, democracy encourages criticism, and I think we should encourage that to happen, but we should not be irresponsible about it.
And destructive at the same time. Well, let's quickly, before we wrap up on the show, tax reforms has been under a lot of concern. That those arguing about some of the content of the bill. Yes, Governor Biola said it will address the issues of multi-taxation, low-income earners, and all of that. There are those that have also argued no proper consultation was met, and so we can't really support this bill. What do you feel, on your own end, this bill is important to move and the state of economy? Because those that are really saying, is this bill, will this bill increase more hardship of Nigerians, and will it also, in a way, not touch the sensitivity of the time? Are you worried about all of those concerns by different quarters of people?
This tax bill is the first in several decades of addressing the challenges of taxation in our country. Some people don't want to pay tax, right? Some people, if possible, in actual fact, Nigeria is one of the countries in the world where you can make billions and not pay tax. What the proposal has done is, look, we need to reduce multiple taxation, we need to harmonize, we need to integrate, and maximize our opportunities. And we also need to save the low-income earners and encourage the big big guys to pay more. So I think it's an equitable initiative. And of course, when people say they're not consulted, what we're having now is consultation. I know that the tax team consulted widely within the sector. And virtually, what they have captured in that bill is what Nigerians have been canvassing for years, for decades. Just like the petroleum sector reform bill, which is now being implemented. The same thing is happening here. But what the National Assembly is doing is allowing people for more discussion. See, what is happening therefore is that consultation is what is going on. And the president is saying, look, I have presented to you what I thought was the best, but you are the one who have elected as president. Come up with your ideas. Come up with your suggestions for how to improve on this bill. Government has not said it is foreclose any initiative, any contribution.
So we got a lot of saying that it means that it's a fight between South against the North and all of that, because that's what they're perceiving this bill.
If anything, it's actually pro-North bill. Because see, again, we need to address some of the perceptions about some part of the country. I've traveled widely in this country, and I know that the North is one of the richest part of this country. People talk about the North as if it's not making any contribution. I have traveled around, and I know that the North is as rich as the South. So everybody talking about the North being marginalized is not being fair to the North. And unless you have not traveled the North, you wouldn't know the potential that we have in the North. And one of the proposal for Northeast Development Commission has been there. And so all these initiatives have to be brought together in a mix for you to see the balance. So I think this bill is equitable, is fair, and it will address the imbalances in many parts of the country, including the North. So for me, what a government like, this afternoon we had a meeting with the Honourable Minister of Information, and it was emphatic in saying that the bill is still open for Nigerians to contribute to. And I think that the government has not said, oh, take it or leave it. No. It's saying, bring your ideas. Let us discuss, let us have a meeting of mind and come up with the best law for the country. And I think we commend the government, really, should commend the president for this initiative. Presidents, previous governments have seen this same problem. They didn't address them. And this is the first 18 months of the government is doing all these things. I think we need to comment and encourage this kind of initiative. This is like a revolutionary thing, really. And people are afraid of revolution or radical policies. This is radical policy. And I believe that government is investing a lot more resources in educating Nigerians of all shades of opinion. And many people who talk about this bill has not even read them. They've not read the bill. So you find people just reading the headline, oh, we don't want it. You know, in society you have people like that. They react to...
the goal of institutions to also educate and engage them.
Yes. I think the Minister of Information is doing that exactly now.
Thanks so much, Dr. Lanre Adebayo is the Director General of the Progressive Institute. Thanks so much for sharing your thoughts on some of these development and progress in our nation.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
That's where we're going to wrap it up tonight on the show. A lot of concern about the importance of entrepreneurs in the economy, how stakeholders can understand the dynamics of entrepreneurship, about different components in managing that. And of course, the vocational skill operation entrepreneurship conference will be organized by the Progressive Institute is to also equip and encourage entrepreneurship in Nigeria. How important that is.
By the way, that conference will be declared open by the President himself. Okay. To show the level of commitment to addressing this issue. It will hold at the banquet hall of the Presidential Villa. That's to tell you how important the government takes that.
Resolutions will be made and
yes.
This commitment.
In actual fact, we have established a powerful team of report writers who will capture the essence of the conference. So the party, through the party of the government, will benefit from the proceedings.
We look forward to the result. We look forward to all about hearing better things for the Nigerian people. Thanks so much, Dr. Lanre, for joining us on the show tonight. Everyone, Of course, we still track some of those things and the development that comes afterwards of the conference. It looks at we must find a path. We must begin to look at what we can do to get out of where we are. Government on the other end are doing their best. There's still a concern about. We should also think of what we can also do to better the state of our country. But we're still tracking the effort of government and, of course, constructively engaging and criticizing where nothing is being done. My name is Nick Michael, your host tonight on the show. See you again tomorrow.
Yeah.